Yuna AI is a B2B software solution using AI in creating digital fashion in only some simple clicks. And Universe is a physical conference during Berlin Fashion Week, next one 11th of July, and with a metaverse where you can be part worldwide of our conference.
Thank you very much. Please take a seat. Our next guest will be Sui. Hello. Microphone, please. Sui, please introduce yourself.
I don't know. Can you hear me now? Okay. Hi, my name is Su-Zeong, or you can call me Zui, and I started an NFT art project for Black indigenous people of color living in the German-speaking area. And also I am a co-founder of Fox and Happy Blogs, which is a consultancy and education for Web3. And I'm excited about the Fireside chat right now.
Thank you very much. Our next guest will be Meggie. Welcome, Meggie. Please take
it's so
a seat.
funny. I just feel like in the mini playback show, you know, it's like with every one of us going in one by one. Hi, everyone. My name is Meike Jaworski. I'm the managing partner of Women DAO, an organization that helps to empower women to take their first steps into Web3. We have a big reframing coming up, and I'm excited to tell you about this more.
Thank you very much, Meggie. And our last guest is Meike.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Meike Krautscheid. I'm a blockchain and no-code entrepreneur. I'm here with BlockX Space. We are a blockchain consulting company. Usually companies come to us and with a problem and are asking how can we, are there possibilities to solve this problem with the blockchain and related technologies, and that's where we help.
Thank you, Meike. Please take a seat. Before we move on with our panelists, who here has a wallet, a crypto wallet? Or an account on an exchange like microphone, Binance, Coinbase. Okay, there's a couple of people here. Who owns an NFT? That's quite a lot, actually. So for those of you out today, we really appreciate the curiosity to learn about this space, Web3, and especially the metaverse. And we're really thankful that you're giving us your attention. So first of all, we would like to express our gratitude to all of our audience. And now we're going to start with the panel, actually. So who am I going to pick first? Okay, Anna, we will start with you. We could say that you have a fashion company, but it's not the average fashion company we know from the Web2 world, I would say. Can you introduce Yuna to the public?
Yeah, Yuna is not a fashion company, it's a software company. But I can start a little bit of my background. I was designer over many years. I decided because of the manual processes, because the fashion industry, one of the biggest polluter, and there's no efficiency at all and no digitization. I started to learn coding, and we are now providing like a digital value chain for the fashion companies, which is very important because they have to change from product creation to 3D creation until augmented reality and metaverses. So that's what we are doing.
Okay, when you say you're providing the software for fashion companies, can you explain what actually the problem is? So what is it about? Like, why do fashion companies need software at all?
I mean, I can do that in numbers. If you create a collection that needs, like a fashion company, like middle-range fashion companies, creating a collection needs 67,000 hours, 1.7 million euros. And then with all the CO2 emission and so on, it's a huge pollution and the biggest polluter, one of the biggest polluter on Earth. And if we cut this down, we can have products in 80% faster. That means also 93% less CO2 emission. And if we talk about prototyping, normally a fashion company does for every clothing you are wearing 6 prototypes. So with digital fashion, we don't need that anymore. And also, if you use AI by analyzing data, we can create better designs which are really sold, because right now only 30% of all the products which are on the market are sold, and 70% are either not sold or going directly into sales.
70% of the things we see in stores are actually thrown away at the end of the day.
Or going into sales directly. Yeah. What will be not sold in sales will be thrown away. Or they stored in huge warehouses, because there's a new law in Europe. They cannot throw things away. So they store it in warehouses, and the brands have huge warehouses where they store the clothing and don't know what to do with that.
Microphone. So if you say you are helping fashion brands to reduce their carbon footprint, we could actually say that. How does this process actually work? You are designing, we know so far you have a digital avatar, you have digital, you are moving away from this, we will just put out stuff that no one actually needs, 70% is thrown away, but how are you actually helping craft and design the pieces everyone wants?
Yeah, we can enter in, there are two possible entries. The first one is we scrape data from internet and we providing like a creative support, where design is like random designs, kind of a creative product. But we can also enter differently, analyzing company data, sales data, performance data, together with the images and color concept and prints, and bringing out real bestseller products which will be really sold. So there are two entries of AI or digital product creation.
How are you actually, if you said, I've heard in a podcast actually with Ben, also in the creators of the Metaverse podcast, that you are A/B testing it with the customers. So how can let's say I'm a customer and you would like to really craft a piece for me. So individually, it won't be just me, it will be a ton of people. How would this process go? Like, how would you start?
A/B testing, right?
Right.
Yeah. So my goal is that we don't create physical clothing anymore before we know what a client will buy. So a fashion company creates designs with us. They bring it on their website. They test how many people click on it, and then only the product will be produced what has the most clicks. So this is the easiest way. And if you use AI, you can directly enter that again into your AI. So the AI learns what is the most clickable product and the bestseller. And
at the end of the day, you analyzes tools that tell you what piece is actually the best.
Yeah, and the goal should be on-demand producing. You just have the digital product and first, and not the physical. So we don't have to do digital twins.
Yeah.
So you have first a digital product, and then you do the testings and only produce what you really will sell.
And is there a part, or which part of this is on the blockchain? Because I know that you all have your universe. Is there any part of this really on-chain, programmed on the blockchain?
Still not, because our industry is very old school. What we are now doing is like bringing them from Web 2 to Web 3. It's not that easy. Even if we talk about the Metaverse or the Berlin Metaverse we founded, they don't get it still. We did a test with them during last Fashion Week. It was Eastpak and Lala Berlin and so on. But it's very difficult, so we don't work with that still, not yet.
But you're trying to.
Yeah, of course. But this industry, even if you think all the digital fashion and the creators and everything, but the fashion companies are not there yet.
If you say that it's a goal to get on the blockchain, I know that Meike is also a strong proponent of the blockchain. You say that, like, which part of that makes sense actually for fashion?
Yeah, actually there are many possibilities to apply the blockchain technology to the fashion industry. Just to mention one of these use cases, it's the supply chain management on the blockchain, supply chain of the fashion. So where does the product come from? You can prove the provenance of a product to the blockchain. Also, where do the materials, the fabrics come from? Is the cotton from a place where the people are treated well, where the ecosystem is treated good and sustainable? Also, when you buy Gucci shoes, Adidas shoes, Nike shoes, are these the real, is it the real brand, or are these fake, is this a fake product? All these we can show on a proof, or we can give a proof on a blockchain. Also, when you buy a used Rolex or something similar, you can see how old is the watch, how many owners did this product had, the owner, how many owners were there before, and many more things can be proved through the blockchain technology.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to Sui. Sui, I really like what you have stated on your website, and just to get the audience going, there is a statement that infrared door openers don't work for black people because of the skin color. And that's just really one example you've stated on Visibler as well. Can you explain to our audience what Visibler is about and what the values are?
Yes, so in order to answer that question, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about Visibler. And as I stated earlier, it's an NFT art project, but the motivation behind is something that 70% of the world's population is facing, that they are marginalized because products are developed from a standard that is from a male white perspective. And I think this is all what unites us as well as Women DAO, that we are in the rise of a new technology, and we want to change also the direction of where products or how products do get produced, such as infrared lights, and literally doors don't open for some people. And I don't not only mean it literally, like how many people here had difficulties in order to get their first wallet? Like, did you have anyone who helped you? Or like, I remember when I started having a wallet, it was with my fellow male friends, and we set up a wallet in the middle of the night. And afterwards, I was quite lost because I wanted to purchase more token. Back then it was Ethereum. And I had literally no one to talk to. So this is why it's super important to create that kind of awareness. And get back to your example with the infrared light. It's about, okay, there is a new technology rising, and how can we include as many different voices and faces as possible? So this is what Visibler is doing through art. And we are launching 35 NFTs from the BPOC community in Germany. And there will be an event at the Bright Moments Gallery end of April. I'll share more details when you come visit us at the Creators of the Metaverse corner. But yeah, those are very important issues that we also have to deal with and create awareness. And everyone is talking about technology, understanding blockchain technology. I don't know about you folks, but it took me quite a long time to understand blockchain. So back then, when I was buying my first tokens, I didn't understand blockchain at all. I pretended that I understood, of course, because I wanted to sound and look smart. I only had the gut feeling. And what I learned over the few years, so my purchase was back then in 2017, that we also need a shift of a mindset. And this is a cultural question. So beginning from your initial question, with that example, we have to address all those different aspects, and that we definitely need to create a culture where we can feel open about everything and discuss problems. Yeah, this is all about Visibler.
Yeah, for me as a white, I would really like to know if like when you explain all of these things. So how can we contribute to these problems?
Yeah, I think the last thing I just said, it's about the culture.
Yeah.
We can be the smartest people. And isn't there a saying like culture eats strategy for breakfast? I mean, that's exactly it. We can discuss about it, we can set up strategies, and we can definitely consult. There are diversity consultancies and BIPOC consultancies. There is one based here in Berlin. It's called the Impact Company, how to coach the employees from big corporates in order to better incorporate or participate marginalized employees. But we need to not only talk about diversity. I mean, this has been basically the main topic about my panels from last year. It's all about diversity, but we really need to live it and state good examples and be role models. And I think it's about doing. Yeah.
So summarized, we have to keep it in mind. We have to keep our eyes open, and at the end of the day, just do it. Yeah. And through that, we'll probably create a cultural shift, which will help us foster these communities and these values over time.
Yes. And last thing, this doesn't happen overnight. So I bought cryptos overnight. Literally, it took me years to understand it, and same goes with the cultural shift. So this is why we have panel talks like this, and we can discuss it together, and
Okay, let's move on to Meggie, because I know that you with Women DAO also have pretty similar values. But before we get into that, I would like to ask you, what actually is a DAO? DAO.
DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. It's a community-led entity with no central authority in place. So it's not that there's a boss of a DAO that tells others what to do, but every member has, depending on the underlying smart contract, the same rights as every other person involved.
Yeah, and you've set up your DAO in Germany, right?
We are currently setting up the DAO in Germany, but it's not that easy. Regulations are a hard thing to come by. I think the US, there are only 3 states in the United States that allow DAO as an entity for cooperation. In Germany, it's not that easy due to tax laws and other laws and lawy things. But we are very lucky that we have awesome lawyers in our DAO already. So we built this community from the ground up 2 years ago, and those lawyers help us and guide us through this process. And the solution we found for our project case is that we found a UG, and this UG has this DAO in place, but we are able to move money from the UG into the DAO, and then all the members of the DAO can decide what happens with this money.
Because you mentioned before, I actually think the only state worldwide is the state of Wyoming in the US, which allows...
Vermont and Tennessee.
Vermont and Tennessee as well, okay.
So there are 3 right now. And the Marshall Islands.
In your community, your main language is German. Although crypto is all about English, we're talking English now, can you explain why you've decided to talk and to hold these events in German?
Well, the community was started by Diana Ada in December of 2021. And at that time, she felt the need, she founded basically the community because she hasn't found one that seemed the right fit. And at that time, there were also many communities where the language was different. You know, you started off as crypto and a woman, and it was like, hey, bro, what's up? GM, bro, and with all these broy things going around, Diana didn't feel it safe to learn or to ask certain questions, which is why she started the Women DAO in the first place. And let
me just interrupt you for a second. Has anyone here ever used Discord? Has anyone come across the problem of getting a direct message, which right at the beginning, probably you haven't been in crypto groups, but the first message, and that's what we encounter on a daily basis, usually is, hey bro, right? So it's not like, hey, how are you doing? How should I approach you? Like, finding a common language, it's usually, hey bro, how are we going to make the next 100x?
And it's so funny because, I mean, most people in the Discord work with like profile pics that don't necessarily show their face.
Yeah.
So you don't even know who you are talking to. It could be a very smart 14-year-old girl, but you are just
Hey bro.
assuming that it's like, hey bro. So yeah, but circling back to your question with the German language, I mean, language is also a barrier which can make hard for people to learn certain things. So, I mean, especially when you're new to crypto and you're making your first steps,
Yeah.
it might be easier for some to start off in their mother tongue. So, I mean, it's not that all of our content is explicitly in the German language. Depending on the interview partners we have for our podcast, for example, we just switch to English as a working language, like we do here.
Yeah. Do you think that this general education will only happen if we have a lot of media outlets, a lot of resources happening in the language we're actually using? So, I mean, as you stated, it is a thing of inclusivity. So, as you want to create a space where you include as many people as possible, I mean, especially with Women DAO, you're including women because it's a hugely underrepresented group in the crypto space. Do you think it's a necessity to have it in their first language?
Well, at least the one-on-one would
Yeah.
be nice because from there it will be easier. The same, for example, with children. When children learn math or writing, they learn it in their mother tongue. They don't start off writing English words. So the same goes for crypto literacy. You start off, it's easier when you start off in your mother tongue.
Yeah, and to be honest, with this technical jargon, I think it's just easier if someone explains it to you. I mean, it's so complicated. From the very start, you get thrown into this jungle, which is like, we have GM, we have, I don't know, there's so many shortcuts and shortings for different words we use, and then the technical stuff gets on top. So I think it's really just way easier if someone explains it in your mother tongue.
Definitely, and I mean the space is changing so fast that you are basically have the need to educate yourself on a daily basis. And I mean, we are all in this space, but I wouldn't call myself an expert. I got rocked twice or 3 times, but it's part of the deal, and you get more confident the more steps you take within the space.
Now, you mentioned on your socials that a big reframing of the Women DAO is coming. Could you explain what is about to happen?
Well, a little bit. I won't spoiler it all because we're still in the works. But I mean, I told you already that in the beginning, we focused on the onboarding, on the one-on-one, and we would like to make more changes because there are enough of outlets for people right now to find info in the German language. So we will try to focus more on female founders and female investors going forward, and we explicitly look at companies that want to make their first steps in Web3.
Yeah.
So it's not certainly Web3 projects that are already out there, but you know, I have a nice product, I want to bring it to the Web3 community, how do I do it? One of our first partners is Fira Soda. It's a non-alcoholic drink on CBD basis, and it's a nice, alternative to beer. Women don't drink as much beer as men do, so you know, kind of try to go with that as well. And the DAO that we are building with the help of the Q blockchain will basically decide or will be able to vote which new projects we take in and how we'll use the money going forward.
I see the first male participants disappointed. What, women don't drink beer?
Not
Don't
as
worry,
much beer. I do drink beer.
We will have a kind of beer presentation, if you want to call it, after actually this chat, I already think.
You will see me drink beer today. No worries. I'll have to try a brew later on.
Okay, thank you, Meggie. Let's move on to Meike. We've talked so much about fashion, about empowerment, about equality, but we haven't talked about the core topic. Why do we actually need a blockchain? Do we need a blockchain for everything we do? Where does it make sense?
Well, blockchain technology itself changes the way how we handle data and values. and it has the potential to actually change all industries around the globe in a way to make industries more effective, efficient, and secure. So we cut out the middleman, reduce the costs and transactions, for example. You can authenticate, verify data instantly, immediately, and it creates so many efficiencies, effectiveness, and it's more secure at the end.
I mean, you've mentioned transaction fees, and obviously for our audience, we had a big transition of especially Ethereum from proof of work to proof of stake late last year in September. What is the trade-off from, for instance, let's say Ethereum moving to proof of stake? Because you said transaction fees. Does it have advantages, or is it more like, okay, we have some disadvantages, but all of these advantages are kind of a pro to operate on a proof of stake consensus mechanism?
So first of all, in general, there are more than 20,000 different blockchain technologies, and most of the technologies are not properly working and not economically feasible to actually use. Ethereum was one of the most prominent blockchains in the space, but each transaction cost hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. So who can actually afford to use such a blockchain? And blockchain is actually, imagine you make a transfer, a bank transfer from Europe to USA. It takes usually several days. The banks, each bank that are involved as middleman, they cut out some percentages, it's very inefficient. And with a blockchain, you can do a transaction peer-to-peer, and you can actually, when you use the right technology, the transaction costs a fraction, a thousandth of a penny, and it's there like an email instantly. And with Ethereum is the problem, or still, even they changed the consensus algorithm, which is there to keep the network, the decentralized network, honest, from proof of work to proof of stake, which is using less energy, but it actually, it brought down a bit the transaction fees, but it didn't help to actually scale the blockchain. So how many transactions can the network handle within 24 hours? So, and there are, I would say, currently other options that might be better, but for some use cases, Ethereum has many good tools, has a community. So depends what you want and what you need. Then you have to decide. What I see in the future, we need a highly scalable blockchain that serves use cases that needs to handle many transactions, and each transaction needs to cost a fraction of a cent to be inclusive for everyone around the world. Imagine a lunch costs in India maybe 50 cents. When each transaction costs 50 cents, who can afford it around the world? A transaction needs to cost a fraction of a cent, and then you can also do hundreds or even thousands of transactions every day. Imagine how many Google searches do you do every day? If this costs like a cent, it needs to be feasible for everyone.
So would you also say that scalability and transaction fees are also a thing of inclusivity? So we want to include as many people as possible? Because with the Bitcoin network, obviously, and that's what the people say about it, the biggest disadvantage is that you pay such high gas fees. So would you say that's also a thing of including more people with reduced transaction fees?
Absolutely. So transaction fees and the scalability. For example, Ethereum can only handle 1.7 million transactions maximum within 24 hours. who can it actually serve? BTC, even worse, 400,000 transactions around every day. So it would only include a little group of people around the world, but we need to actually highly scale and include people with transaction costs of a fraction of a cent.
Yeah. Let's move probably to the example of a content creator. So I'm a musician, I'm an artist, and let's take the example of, let's say, Spotify. So Spotify is highly disadvantaged, I would say it's not good for artists, for content creators at all, for musicians especially. How could we, for instance, with the blockchain, improve this problem?
Not only for music, but also content creators in terms of articles. I was recently actually contacted by publishing houses. They have the problem of copyright issues.
Yeah.
Also, when ChatGPT is using their content and other people are using basically their content and publishing it, and how can we secure the copyright with the blockchain? One of the most important properties of the blockchain is actually to prevent double spend, to actually copy the same content again. And with the blockchain, we can solve or actually help the copyright problem. This is which is out there for every content creator in the digital world, and also how can we monetize the data? Data, videos, music, articles, online articles can be instantly monetized when someone is consuming it, even in micropayment streams. So someone is watching the video, and while he's watching a micropayment stream, it's going instantly from his wallet, peer to my wallet, and this is amazing. I don't need a middleman, basically. Basically, these centralized platforms like Spotify, YouTube could be replaced through the system in a way. Or let's say we have a band, and in the 5 people wrote a song together, and someone consumes the song, and through so-called smart contracts, like programs on the blockchain, there's an instant split of revenue to each of these wallets. And so there are many options out there for content creators. It will change the space. The content that you bring into the internet, you will remain the power over the data. Not social media platforms will own your data and can do whatever they want with it. In the future, you will keep the power over your data, and you will be the one who also profit from everything you put onto the internet, the so-called Web3.
Yeah, and one of these advantages is decentralization. I mean, that's what we're all talking about, these highly centralized companies. And I mean, we've had a talk just before this fest here started about metaverse. Should it be decentralized? Should it be centralized? And I know, Anna, that you're building the universe. And I mean, obviously your universe is going to somehow be centralized, let's call it, because it's your authority, your company behind it. But do you think we will need, with the example of Yuna, we will need more metaverses? Do you think it's even possible that we have one metaverse that covers everything?
This is always the big question, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we are building a fashion verse or fashion metaverse, doing Berlin Fashion Week. We're trying different things. What is the best for our industry? Maybe that would be something for other industries also. There could be many metaverses or only one metaverse at the end with different parts. Yeah.
Okay. But the universe, we can imagine it as avatars walking around in the metaverse where you can fit them to certain clothes. How does it work?
Yeah, not only that. We have a physical conference and like an afternoon where we bring fashion brands and other industries like automotive industries or metaverse there together so they can exchange their knowledge and how they work with metaverse and digitalization. And then we had 1 week an open metaverse where we tried to find the best way for brands to work with. And this is not only an avatar walking around, that can be also billboards, fashion shows on billboards, fashion shows as avatars, shops, what possibilities, NFTs, or also e-commerce. So what we try to find out, what is the best version for every fashion brand and how should the metaverse work in the fashion scene. So that means not only avatars walking around.
Yeah, thank you, very insightful. So do you get these questions in your work as a consultant? Because I know that you've been doing this quite a while. Are these questions that concern people? Like, do people ask these questions? Is it important that we kind of have a decentralized metaverse? What is a blockchain? Like these basics. Like, how far does it go from the very beginning?
Yeah, interesting question, because people who are approaching us and want to get consulted, they are not concerned, not at all. They're more curious. So if we would drop the word metaverse, I don't think that I think they're more excited about it. And I think still people have the feeling, wow, I'm one of the first ones. And but there are concerns about metaverses. Anna and I, we had a panel talk about it last year as well, about metaverse. And I think this is also something we definitely, it's inevitable. It will come, and it will somehow, today we spend a lot of time on social media. We will eventually, and people already do spend a significant amount of time in metaverses. So it's definitely something ahead of us.
One last question to Meggie. Do you think, how will the world look in 5 years, 10 years? Like Sui said, will we have one metaverse? Will it be more metaverses? How to look at this topic?
Well, I think we all agree that Web3 is the next iteration of the internet, and the power that Web3 has is that it basically gives power to the people. So it's up on us on how we educate ourselves and what we'll do with it. And in the end, I think if we all work together, talking about minorities and underrepresented groups as well, we'll make it a good place, and there will be a change that none of us can imagine at this point.
Thank you very much. I see that time is running out, so I think we're going to move to questions from the audience. Are there any questions to these four amazing individuals? If yes, please raise your hand and we will give you the microphone. Any questions?
Can I ask a question to the audience?
Yes, sure.
Who is not familiar with Web3? Because most of you raised their hands who already has a wallet. So at the beginning of our Fireside chat, I was like, okay, why are we talking here? So anyone very, very new to blockchain, but also eager to learn more? Or yes, over there, okay. Maybe we should chat later, okay. And I don't know, was it of any help, or did it get more tangible? Okay, I'm glad. Happy.
For me, it was pretty surprising that it's not a lot of people actually, that most of them have already actually have an account or a wallet or even an NFT, because usually even at crypto events nowadays, if you ask who has an NFT, it's 50%. And I think we had 30-40% of people raising the hand. So yeah, it's truly awesome to see all this excitement. Right now we are in the middle of a bear market, but we know that bear markets are there to build. And yeah, if you don't have any questions for the audience anymore, or someone from the audience to you, I would, yes, please. Can I have one mic? Oh yeah.
I think it's a question for Meike. So what's the alternative to Ethereum?
Oh, there are many alternatives. Depends what you want to do with it. So, for example, we did a proof of our technology that we actually can scale proof of work blockchain on layer 1 on the original Bitcoin protocol, which is Bitcoin Satoshi vision. But we actually see also other technologies. I mean, many technologies that are very common, like Polygon, a second layer solution, or Solana, they have some technical problems that are sometimes like the transactions are failing, for example. They can scale higher, much higher than like Ethereum, but it has like the problem of failing of transactions, or also that it's very decentralized, for example. But we used to prove our technology that we can scale up a proof of work blockchain on the BSV blockchain. But as I said, depends what you want to do. There are different options.
Yeah.
So hopefully not getting too techy, but what's about Cardano?
Well, Cardano says it could do millions of transactions per second, but it never showed. So they did maybe 200 to 400,000 transactions within 24 hours. I think it's as maximum. So it never proven that they can actually scale, and it has basically no data capacity, and also it's also highly centralized.
I guess it's important to say here that there's also a huge discussion even in the crypto community for Cardano, because some are like, it's like with licorice. It's either you like it or you don't like it. It's like...
not liking is one thing, but facts and figures is another thing, and this is what we look at. So we are actually agnostic as a blockchain consulting company. But we need to see what is the perfect solution for the client.
Yeah. Any more questions? I think we can fit in a last one. If not, thank you very much. Thank you for these four amazing panelists.